Today's AskReddit post. Bill Gates said, "I will always choose a lazy person to do a difficult job because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it." What's a real life example of this? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. I knew a guy who had a low-level data reporting job. He had several daily weekly work responsibilities, including a bunch of reports that needed quite a bit of tweaking from raw data to finished product. But like I said, low level. We didn't find out until way later. But he had set up macros for each of his major responsibilities where he could, once set up, he'd just run the macros to do his work. But then he'd, smartly, hold off on delivering the reports until just a little before the deadlines. He'd hit every assignment and was seen as reliable. He also would complain about the workload so people would leave him with that work. I doubt he did a full hour of work a day after he set up what he did. Eventually he left the job for one with better pay. But damn did he work lazy. Also, he was smart not to reveal until the end. Because had he told them about it he would have gotten a pat on the back and would have been given a whole other workload. On top of maintaining those macros etc. Dude milked the job, not the other way around. My brother gave my oldest nephew $10 a week if he did all his chores without needing to be told or complaining. One day he gets home early from work and sees the neighbor kid tossing a bag in the trash. He asks him what he is doing and the kid says he gets $5 a week to take care of a few chores. My nephew outsourced his chores. Outsourcing and child labor? This kid's destined to be a Nike CEO one day. Nephew it, tick. I'm doing it right now. Automated data cleaning in Python. My coworkers don't know about it. So something that takes me 10 minutes at most takes them 2 hours. What if they do know about it, and they're just better at fake being busy than you are? My coworker is the worst at being fake busy. I looked over at him the other day, and he was swimming. An engineer spent hours developing a program so they could start the coffee pot from their desk and not have to wait for coffee when arriving in the break room. That's pretty much how the first webcam was created too. Lazy computer engineers wanted to see if there was coffee in the pot. Years ago as a student I got a job stocking shelves. Guys were carrying the heavy boxes, put them on the floor and bend each time to pick up the items to put on the shelves. I was maybe a light 100 pounds woman, and carrying the boxes was just killing me physically. So one day I had an idea. I put the box on an old desk chair and rolled it around. No more carrying and no more bending. Funny thing is that, instead of doing the same thing, most of the guys called me lazy and kept carrying the heavy boxes, just to prove how strong they were. Now they have special rolling carts to do the job. Screw lazy, screw strong. I would have copied you without a second thought. The entire miscellaneous kitchen tools section at bed, bath, and beyond. I don't need an avocado slicer or a lemon squeezer or an automatic chopper dicer, but lazy old me definitely puts them to good use. Ironically, these things were not created for lazy people originally, but for people with disabilities, and also very busy restaurant owners. Unfortunately, a lot of these products have to be marketed like time-saving devices and convenience gadgets to justify production, which is what leads to a lot of the weird product memes. Like sure, you can make fun of a little claw tool that helps you put on your socks without bending over, but elderly, ill, and disabled people sure are glad that tool exists. Does Alexander and the Gordian knot count? A complex knot that, according to prophecy, was to be undone only by the person who was to rule Asia, and that was cut, rather than untied, by Alexander the Great. Wasn't it the same dude who liked a guy living in a barrel? Walkie-talkies. In every job I've ever had, these things make your day far less labor intensive if used correctly. Plus it's just fun saying stuff like roger that and over and out. Over means you're expecting a response from the other party. Out means you're done with the conversation. Over and out would mean you're expecting a response and you're done with the conversation. Don't do it. I had to carry groceries into the house when I was a kid. I didn't want to make multiple trips. So I tied several bags to the belt loops on my pants to do it in one trip. Why didn't you just run your belt through the bag handle loops? Would save a crap load of time. I was dumb little kid. I have no idea. I just remember seeing a cartoon where one of the characters said, "Work smarter, not harder," and I was determined. It might have been Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers. Programming. A lazy programmer will think all the possible ways of doing a single simple task. Spend hours of programming and troubleshoot a program to automate something you can do yourself in 15 minutes. I've been there. It's a great feeling when you get something to work in a click of a button. When Peter the Great was building St. Petersburg, there was a huge boulder needed removing as it was in the way of a road. Lots of contractors tendered for the job. They would use explosives to start, smash it into smaller pieces using sledgehammers and then cart them away. A local peasant also put in an offer for half the price. They gave him the job. He and a few friends dug a large hole next to it, took away the excess earth, tipped the boulder in and covered it up with the remaining earth. How long did he take? Digging a hole is a crazy expensive task in civil engineering for what it is. I can only imagine what it must be like without an excavator, or knowing what's under the ground. What if he hit more rocks? And moving a ton of earth isn't that much easier than a ton of rock. Really, all he did was replace breaking up the rock with digging a hole. My greenhouse's watering system. I would spend an hour per day watering the garden. 30 hours per month. So for $50, I set up a PVC watering system in a few hours. Now I just turn on the spigot and watch while I smoke a joint. My girlfriend will kill me for this, but duck it. I hate taking a finished toilet paper roll downstairs to throw it out. Me just leaving the empty roll in the bathroom annoys the crap out of my girlfriend, so I developed this strategy when there was only a few sheets left. I'd start using sheets from a new roll and leave the old roll with sheets still on it. That way, she'd always be the one to finish the roll and have to take the empty one downstairs. Edit. For people asking why I don't just use the bathroom rubbish bin. We recycle our cardboard. You're a ducking lunatic. But I like your style. Me. I automate poop all the time at work to make daily routine jobs more easy. I write manuals with screenshots with arrows indicating where to click or where to fill in what. Whenever I write a manual, I assume that whoever reads it is a complete idiot, so that whenever customers call for the same questions again, I just send them to the online manual I created. No need to type it out again by email or explain it again by phone. IT department. Sure, I could do that thing. Or I could write a script and get it automated. I just want to point out to anyone who is starting a small business and planning to charge by the hour. This thread illustrates why that is a bad idea. You should not be punished because you have developed efficiencies in your work that allow you to complete it quicker than another similar professional. That is value. You should earn from that value you're providing. As the guy I bought my business from said, if you are willing to sacrifice your bill rates, you will work yourself to death for nothing. If you're faster than others at the same job, it might be appropriate to charge by the job and undercut others, but make more money by being able to do more jobs with your time. Me. I am a real life example of this. Wow, you do amazing work, you must work so hard. Fuck no. Step 1 of any new job task is workflow efficiency, but I'll let them continue to think I'm busting my ass while I surf Reddit. Programming away work is the real life example of this. I worked goods in for an aircraft manufacturer as a summer job at university. Parts would arrive. We'd open them and key in all the details into a terminal. That bit was long-winded. I discovered the terminal keyboard has assignable shortcuts, and set up a bunch of them for all the boilerplate such that keying in an item was about 6 keystrokes. Saved myself and my workmate hours every day, which we would spend pranking each other, other warehouse staff and staff at other sites. Did you really say that? Euthasius Bilgerts? Now that I think of it, the quote's been credited to him a long time and he's never debunked it. Has it really just not come up? I'd research it. but I'm too lazy. Water is super lazy and will literally find the easiest way to go anywhere every single time. Wait until you learn about the path light travels through. Light takes the path of least time. That's not hyperbole or anything. Light will literally follow the shortest path based entirely on the time it takes to get there. What does this mean? Light moves the same speed in all reference frames. I'm glad people like me have value in this world. I would have never known otherwise. Take that, Dad. Basically every invention in the last 100 years is an example of how to accomplish a task with much less effort. The automobile being the first one that comes to mind. I am presently printing and wiring a safety switch that will disable my lathe when the chuck key is removed. It is a rule that the chuck key will never be in the chuck whilst any other activity is occurring other than tightening the chuck. Whilst I have never yet forgotten to remove the key, I decided that to ensure it is never left in the chuck, the machine will never start with the key removed from the switch. Why not have an actual key switch on the power supply to your lathe and just put the chuck key on the same keyring? This guy lazies. My girlfriend is a programmer. I've seen her coming up with the smartest solutions just to avoid spending too much time or energy on a project. That quote is absolutely true in her case. Programmers and software engineers are maybe the profession where cleverness and experience are most rewarded. Unlike many engineers, our output is entirely the product or our capability. We don't have to worry as much about the limiting factors of the physical world for most of our jobs. Because of this, the difference in productivity and pay for a mediocre SE and an exceptionally good one can be 3-5x. In construction environments it's quite common to have a soft foreman man underneath the actually person in charge. You basically find the individuals you know want to work their way up and give them components of the work, and however many people they need, they'll do it because oftentimes it means less physical work for them. You're still ultimately signing off on their work or settling debates etc. Which makes you the ultimate foreman or supervisor. But you know that you can assign the task and they'll let you know when it's done and everyone is keeping the schedule in mind. One time I asked my boss seriously, "Why do you always toss me the difficult tasks?" And he replied, "Because I know you'll get it done quick so you can get your ass back on Reddit." Damn. He alpha brained you. Anyone mention the dude who turned a ship's course because the sun was in his eyes? At work, I go through parts and apply 2 different kinds of tape and 2 different kinds of weave. I have finally got the rhythm down and now I do each part individually and apply everything at once. Everyone else goes through an entire order, just applying tape, then goes through it again to do the weave. I asked to use a big table in the back of the shop and just put all the tape and weave tools there and do the parts all at once. Normal rate for an 8-hour shift is 1,200, but I can manage 1,800 in a day, going at a nice steady pace. My friend applied for a job at a company that works on autonomously driving systems for cars. During the interview he was asked whether he likes cars. His answer was that he absolutely hates to drive. He got the job. You reposting this question for karma. You made this comment for karma. You made this comment for karma. And I made this comment for karma. Law enforcement and criminal rehabilitation. North America could have gone the route of taking in criminals and trying their best to educate them while in prison to produce people who would contribute to society instead of preying on it. But instead of turning carjackers into mechanics and burglars into security consultants, they turned them into worse versions of the criminals that entered the system, mainly because they hired people who thought hitting people would change their education. A smart lazy person becomes adept at finding the easiest solution to problems. It's not always the best solution though. Sometimes you also need the engineers of the world to come up with a more complex solution that is a better answer, even if it's not the easiest. Alan Turing invented a new machine to decode all the German messages for him. That wasn't just laziness, yo. If my knowledge from the imitation game is accurate, manual deciphering wasn't fast enough to crack the code before the keys changed at the end of the day, so they'd have to start from scratch the next day. I used to work at car dealership parts department and most repetitively strokes for the same product like oil changes and such. Made a keystroke shortcut. Now as a forklift driver at a Costco I try to make sure there is something always on my forks going in or out of the aisle. Unlike other drivers they don't. That common sense though. IT is the king of this. We have set up scripts to do tons of tasks for reporting and data manipulation automatically. We have been using one macro program for years that works flawless most of the time. It can recognize windows and screens and you can tell it to do about anything. It's called Macro Express. Way back in the days when Farmville was big on Facebook, you had to harvest these fields. And if you found a pineapple field, you could make bank. It was a grid of squares and you had to click each square to harvest it. And sometimes other players would jump in and start harvesting too. I wrote a macro on a hotkey that when I found a full field to harvest, it would take the mouse cursor, move and click every single square in the grid. So once it was claimed, no one else could harvest it. It would click the entire grid in about 5 seconds. Where if you were doing it manually, it would take you about 30 seconds. I've also used it for voting websites before they implemented measures to only allow one vote per IP address. You can do all sorts of things if you want to put in the time to perfect your script. My wife and I have a chore list. I now am tasked with vacuuming, which she gloated about not having to do because it is so time consuming. I bought a Roomba and now the house is cleaner than ever and all I have to do is press a button on my phone. I work for a huge company. That said, as management are all about 40 plus. Anyone who can use a computer for more than word and writing a letter is deemed a computer geek official title. Usually data checking consists of having one Excel spreadsheet on one screen, and on a second screen, which has only just become a thing. It's a good old Ctrl+F to find the linked data to check. VLOOKUP has literally cut my workload down from a week's work to 10 minutes. I'm not telling them. Compliance and other managers on an equal footing to me all just think I'm very particular and make a low amount of errors. COVID lockdown has meant I'm working from home and I'm literally doing a 1 to 2 day week. If I need directions I'm not asking a man with one tooth. I'm asking a man with one leg. Cause he definitely knows the easiest way to get there. Yup, if there's a shortcut that one-legged ducker knows where it is. You won't be hopping fences neither. Everything that has ever been invented was invented to make something easier. Laziness is the mother of invention. Eating dinner out of the pot so there's fewer dishes to wash. I worked in a library scanning incoming books into the system. This required a lot of transferring of piles of books from one station to another. My workmate constantly called me lazy because I would not get out of my chair while doing this job. I don't know how many times I had to explain. That's what wheelie chairs are for. And B. I was at least 3 times as fast as her at the same job, and this was in part because of the efficiency of not getting up out of my chair every 2 minutes. Back in high school a lot of kids used to walk through his park to get home to school. A portion of the path went into the woods because it was just quicker than walking the actual trail. At one point in the walk through the woods, you had to go up this small but tedious hill. Nothing major, but it took like 10 seconds of hard work to go up it. You couldn't go around because one side was a small cliff to the creek below and other side had dense trees. One summer, a bunch of us got together and decided to just dig through that hill to make it flat. It took like 14 of us 3 good days to get through it. It was a hard 3 days, but it was definitely worth it. Saved 10 seconds of hill climbing every morning and afternoon. 150 plus days of the year. Sometimes you need to put in a lot of work so your future selves can enjoy the easy way out. You're reposting this question instead of coming up with something new and creative. Polymerase chain reaction. PCR changed bio and medical sciences more than any other breakthrough in modern times, and it came about because a scientist wanted to surf more, so he figured out how to do a full-time lab job in just a few hours a week. Love him. So I was sitting on my bed FaceTiming someone. I was really craving candy but didn't want to get up to go get some. I had a gift bag with candy in my room but I couldn't reach it without getting up. I remembered that I had a 3-foot wooden pole in my bed frame. Don't ask why. I grabbed the pole and used it to get the bag up to my bed. It worked, and the only thing that the person I was talking to said was wow while facepalming. This explains why every version of Windows besides XP was an unusable mess. Do you not remember XP in its early days? XP became usable only after Service Pack 2. Using the microwave instructions instead of Stovetop. Dude milked the job, not the other way around. That's not true at all. He completed the job he was given. If your business doesn't incentivize people to speak up when they find efficient ways to accomplish tasks, then that's on them, not him. You say so yourself. He's actually getting the opposite of an incentive to speak up about this. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.